The 1982-83 Major Indoor Soccer League season was just a beginning, really. It was that first coquettish wink of a love affair, a revelation that something exciting was taking place at the Richfield Coliseum. It was the first call to arms of a movement that would make northeastern Ohio come alive for the first time in many a year. The Cleveland Force had arrived. It had taken 4 long years that always started with eager anticipation and hope, but always seemed to end with frustration and disappointment. Dubbed as the new kid on the block by the local media, the Force had to fight for everything they got, and the new kid on the block kept getting up and coming back for more. This was a new Cleveland franchise, a franchise that had come of age under the direction of a new head coach, Timo Liakoski. One by one, opponents fell as the Force climbed to the top of the Eastern Division. Picked to finish no higher than 4th in the preseason polls, Cleveland finished with 29 wins and missed capturing the Eastern Division title by just 1 game. For those fans at the Coliseum last season, the memories are as clear as a brisk winter morning. They'll remember the wins and the losses, the goals and the games, and they'll remember the warm feeling of winning hot games on cold winter nights. Yes, 1982-83 was just the beginning, and based on what took place last year, truly the best is yet to come. He is the only man ever to be named Coach of the Year in the 2 most prestigious professional leagues in the United States. In his first season in Cleveland, Liakoski made the Force a winner, and he did it by unleashing an offense that could strike from just about any place on the field. It takes depth to win in the MISL, and the Force possessed 3 bona fide offensive threats in Keith Furphy, Kai Hoskevy, and Craig Allen. If some men were born to walk on the moon, then it's safe to assume that others were born to score goals. Keith Furphy has yet to walk on the moon, but there is little doubt about his ability to put the ball in the back of the net. Blessed with gazelle-like speed, a laser-like left foot, and the durability that enabled him to play in a club record 100 consecutive games, Furphy has become the all-time leading scorer in Force history. His long legs and his flowing blonde hair also have made him one of the most popular players in Force history. But games are not won with popularity. They are won with goals. And Keith Furphy knows how to score goals. During a preseason gathering with the media, Liakoski had this 6-word evaluation of Furphy: "I'm glad he's on our side." He came to Cleveland with the reputation of being one of the best players in the Major Indoor Soccer League. And Kai Hoskevy did not tarnish that reputation in his first year with the Force. Known as one of the best playmakers in the game, Hoskevy lived up to that description as he produced a team record 46 assists and was voted to the All-Star team for the 2nd time. But there is more to this game of indoor soccer than just goals and assists. Yes, Kai can score goals and he can set up others, but he also possesses a knowledge of the game that few others do, a knack of anticipating what will happen next, of being able to assimilate the game as if it were a chess match and he was the Grand Master. The 3rd member of the most prolific scoring trio in the history of the MISL is Craig Allen, 2nd in goals scored and 2nd in assists. Allen always seemed to be in the right spot at the right time, knocking in rebounds and making connections on missed shots. Allen was especially adept during power play situations, leading the league with 12 power play goals. When opportunity knocked, the opportunistic Allen answered, and the result usually was a goal. During one hot stretch, Allen scored 11 goals in 5 games, and during the course of the regular season, he produced 16 multiple goal games, and twice was named the MISL Player of the Week. Although offense is the name of the game, Cleveland wasn't without its defensive leaders, and that job fell on the broad shoulders of Bernie James. Displaying an aggressive, hard-nosed style of defense with little or no regard to his physical well-being, James emerged as the leader of the back line, culminating his first season in the MISL by being named the Defender of the Year. Not only did he lead the league with 131 blocked shots, he led the league in floor burns as well. Another secret to Cleveland's success was its depth, its wealth of talent that was able to produce when called upon. Vic Davidson was one of those players. Hampered by injuries and inactivity, Davidson fought back to finish with 27 goals in 36 games and was responsible for 4 game-winning goals. Ever since he entered the league for the 1980-81 season, Davidson has been known as a goal-scoring threat, and he joined an elite group by scoring the 100th goal of his MISL career this season. He is a free spirit off the field, and his play on the field is wild and wonderful, a combination of speed, agility, and hard work. Charlie Green, an American kid from Massachusetts, enjoyed his best season as a pro during the 82-83 season. With 15 goals and 17 assists, Green finished as the club's 7th leading scorer and somersaulted his way into an integral position on the roster. They have not played on the same team since they were All-Americans at the University of Akron in the late 1970s. But the 1982-83 season saw the Nanchoff brothers, George and Louis, reunited once again. Playing in their own backyard, the Nanchoffs made things happen. Although brothers, their styles differed greatly. Older brother George relied on his experience and savvy, while brother Louis used his lightning speed and his quick change of direction to baffle keeper after keeper. George contributed mightily on the power play unit, producing 7 power play goals, while Louis responded with his best season ever as a pro with 25 goals and 24 assists. It has been said that the loneliest position in all of sports is that of the goalie, the last line of defense, the final link in the chain. Perhaps more than any other player on the field, the goalie can spell the difference between victory and defeat. Chris Vaccaro learned to spell a lot last season. It is not an enviable position, this man who must react to stop rockets and bullets with cat-like quickness, diving, lunging, risking life and limb. It easily is the most demanding job in the sport of indoor soccer, and last season Chris Vaccaro did his job well. When Vaccaro went down with some crippling injuries during the playoffs, in stepped Lou Cioffi. Resigned to the bench for almost the entire season, Cioffi emerged as a hero in the playoffs. Twice he answered a halftime SOS, entering the game and blanking the opposition. Familiar chants of Lou, Lou echoed throughout the Coliseum each and every time he touched the ball. For 4 glorious games, Cioffi was everyone's hero. Reaching back for that something extra, Cioffi was a study in concentration as he smothered shot after shot. Sliding, falling, grabbing, and punching, Cioffi protected the Cleveland net the way an animal protects its den. And in the end, Cleveland had found a new hero. They started filing into the Coliseum with regularity toward the end of the season. Caught up in the success of this new kid on the block, the force became the darlings of the media, and the fans turned out to see them. On the night of April 23rd, a crowd of 19,106 showed up to watch one of the most exciting soccer games in the history of the MISL. A record crowd for a playoff game the force had to win. The love affair was in full swing. Although most rivalries in sports are developed and nurtured through years and years of competition, the Cleveland and Chicago clubs became rivals right from the start. After splitting 4 regular season games, the two teams met in the first round of the playoffs. The best 2 out of 3 quarterfinal series opened in Cleveland, and the Sting left the Coliseum with a win. However, 2 days later in Chicago, the Force beat the Sting 5-4 to set the stage for a third and final game in Cleveland. Back and forth the two teams went, attacking one another with relentless surge after surge. Rudy Glenn gave Chicago a 2-1 lead. But Keith Murphy counted to give Cleveland a 2-2 tie at the end of the first quarter. The Sting retaliated with 2 straight goals, and things stayed that way until a little more than a minute remained in the first half. And then, as he had done so often during the regular season, Keith Murphy found the magic. First, he took a pass from Craig Allen and launched a blistering shot that eluded Chicago goalie Victor Negoro. And suddenly, there was hope. While most Force fans felt a 1-goal deficit at the half wouldn't be too bad, Murphy would have none of that. With just 5 seconds to play in the half, and just 49 seconds after his previous goal, the Blonde Bomber struck again. This time he evaded a would-be defender and rocketed a shot that slipped between the post and Negoro's right arm. The Coliseum erupted into a den of noise and unrestrained joy, perhaps believing that it was too good to be true. Were they witnesses to an honest-to-goodness fairy tale? At the half, Liakowski decided to change goalies, bring on Sweet Lou Cioffi, to replace the banged-up Chris Vaccaro. Proving he was human after all, Cioffi surrendered a goal to Greg Ryan, only after making several initial stops. Then came perhaps the most controversial goal of the season. Craig Allen chased an errant shot that Negoro seemed to have in his grasp. However, Allen never stopped and kicked the ball through Negoro's legs. Even the instant replay seemed to offer no concrete evidence as to exactly what had happened. The only thing apparent to the Cleveland faithful was that the Force had once again tied the score. Finally, George Namchoff spotted Captain Trevor Darkins at the top of the box. Darkins unleashed a shot that rocketed past the defense and into the net. And the usually unemotional Darkins led the cheers and danced the dance of a winner. As if on cue, the defense took over, swarming all over their opponents, clogging up the passing lanes and forcing them to the outside from where they could do little damage. Chicago coach Willie Roy pulled his goalkeeper in favor of a 6th attacker, and then with a minute to play, and Alonso leading one more Chicago surge, it happened. There was Huskavy stealing the ball and scoring the goal that put the game out of reach and the Sting out of the playoffs. Although the Force made it to the MISL semifinals, the dreams of reaching the finals ended in 5 games against Baltimore, which included the first ever nationally televised MISL game over the CBS TV network from the Richfield Coliseum. That game, won by the Force 6-3, reached an estimated 4.2 million homes and drew 12,178 fans, even though the blackout was lifted in the Cleveland area. Just as with any star-filled production, the Cleveland Force has their share of future stars. John Victor, Ricardo Rodriguez, Michael Kahn, Ross Ongaro, Gary Vogel, and newcomers Tommy Christensen, Chris Sobieski, and Peter Miller are all capable of reaching stardom. Undoubtedly, 1982-83 was a season to remember. It was everything that anyone had ever dreamed. Yet there was something left. There were the crowds and there were the players. There were the hugs and there were the shots. It was a glorious time in Cleveland professional sports history. The year that the new kid on the block grew up. What lies ahead for the Cleveland Force? No one knows the story of tomorrow's dawn, and yet we grow in time to trust the future for our answers.